I'd like to welcome everybody here this morning. At this time, we're going to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, 3.1, approval of the agenda for March 14th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Second. Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote.
Johnson. Aye. Mars.
Aye.
McFarland.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Ringer.
Aye.
Zimmers.
Aye.
That is 6 aye votes.
Okay, we'll go right to the reason we're here. We'll have Superintendent talk about the closure of schools.
Certainly. We're living in unprecedented times. It became very obvious to us early last week that watching the news and the media from not only here in the United States, but also in European and Asian countries, that this was going to affect us greatly and that we needed to be prepared. We called together a meeting last week where we formed working groups. These working groups included committees that were put together around academic continuity, meaning what kind of academic equitable opportunities we can provide to our students and families to do with their students over any type of prolonged closure. We also had a committee on logistics, which was about cleaning response teams and how we are disinfecting our schools, not only when students are in session, but also when we are closed. We also had a communications and PR committee that was preparing and helping create documents so that we could push them out not only during the week last week, but also in the inevitability of something that we faced yesterday with the school closure. We also had a committee that's talking about, and still talking about, medically fragile employees and students, as well as all of the attendance concerns that are associated with this type of a closure, making sure that we're thinking of the safety of all of our students and staff. There have been numerous human resource questions that have come up during these conversations and in discussions and that are still ongoing, but we do feel like we are ahead of the curve because these committees have been in place. In addition, I think you saw last week where we closed our buildings to outside groups who were renting them, canceled all of our large events, and started down that road before the actual closure even occurred. And we continue to listen to our partners at IESA and IHSA and other organizations around the state that talk about athletic events and things of that nature. We also have canceled all travel in the near foreseeable future for our faculty and staff. And we did that earlier this week, and we had also canceled and reduced our professional development and in-person time for meetings with our teachers. We also have a great transportation team. I see Dr. Thurman in the back. Thank you for being here and working with First Student Company to talk about how they were also disinfecting the buses, doing those kind of things, and then how a cancellation might affect their routes and their kind of HR concerns as well at First Student. And then last, which is a smaller group, but we were very concerned during this time with what were our volunteers that are so important to us each and every day, how they are going to be affected during this time, and making sure we were considering any of our after-school programming groups as well and how this might affect them. So all of these things were in place during the week last week, and when I say work around the clock, I could not be more proud of my team that came together in our partnership with our local bargaining groups as well, who I see here in the crowd today. It's very important that we come together and work during this time. So, what we were learned yesterday, you all learned alongside of us that all District 186 will be closed beginning Monday, March 16th through Monday, March 30th, meaning we return to school as it stands right now on March 31st. All certified teachers, students, staff members, and individuals that are certified individuals will be at the school buildings on Monday, March 16th. We thought that was important to have a day where they could come, students can come in if they forgot their materials. If they weren't at school on Friday, they may need to get books out of their lockers. We will have staff involved with that. Our teachers will be continuing to look at putting lesson planning online and information that students may need at home to continue their learning. And we also know that they need a little bit of time to make sure all of these things are done. So that will be done on Monday, March 16th. Once again, this is following the governor's directive to the entire state of Illinois to close all schools in light of the coronavirus concerns. We feel that this is important. We have a very large responsibility in protecting the health and safety of our students and staff, and also to make every effort to minimize the impact of the coronavirus in our community. Yesterday, we practiced some changes in our lunch hour procedures to make sure that we were following not only the CDC recommendation, but the Sangamon County of Department of Health's recommendation to reduce gatherings of 250, under 250 in any one space at a time. So we did that yesterday, kind of as we waited to hear what the state of Illinois was going to move forward with in terms of closure. We feel that this is a very important move for the state of Illinois to flatten the curve and to really minimize and utilize social distancing to help the spread of any virus in our own community and, of course, across the state and our country. We know that when public health policies are at work, they feel discomforting. We've had a lot of disappointment in students across the district with things being canceled and state tournament berths being stopped short. But in the end, when we put together good public health policies in place, we know that we can minimize things and we can do our part to make sure that the virus doesn't spread. One thing that a lot of our staff are wondering is who reports and when and how and what kind of protection do they have. These are very important questions for the board, I'm sure, as well. All District 186 certified staff will report on Monday, and then this is sort of how it's going to work from that point out. So the following staff should report and continue reporting are all administrators, and they will be in the buildings to make sure that everything's running smoothly throughout the week and into next week. All certified staff will report tomorrow on Monday, but after that we will go into some emergency days at that time. March 17th, 18th, and 19th are emergency days, and those days will be made up at the end of the year. So if you look on our calendar, we have the E's on the calendar that shows you where that will be. So March 17th, 18th, and 19th are emergency days that will be made up, so teachers do not have to report. Because they're reporting on Monday, they also do not have to report on Friday. But beginning March 23rd, every teacher in our district will be available between 9 o'clock and 2 o'clock via electronic, email opportunities for families to call in and ask, to text questions, to respond, to put things online for families to have questions, and our administrators can also contact teachers if there are any questions. So we wanted to make sure that our staff is available and being able to put up additional activities as we go forward. Our Department of Teaching and Learning have created a platform of online learning activities and also at-home activities that do not require online access. We have learned that Comcast is offering 2 free months of internet service, so if you call Comcast, you can get set up with them for free internet for 2 months. Just a quick reminder, there'll probably be a fee after 2 months, but we do want everybody to feel as if they have access if they can. And if you want to have the alternative lesson plans, we are going to work on Monday to make sure that those are available if families need to pick something up or have those available at our schools. Also, this includes our occupational therapists, our special educators, our physical therapists, our social workers, our psychologists will all be available between that 9 and 2 time, so that if there are any questions in regards to any student that might have special needs, our special education department is willing and ready to address those. They're working, many of you may say, well, I had a meeting scheduled at the school. We are working on Monday to call all of the families that had originally scheduled meetings, individual education plan meetings, et cetera, to make sure that they know that they can either use teleconferencing to have those meetings, or we can reschedule those if it's into the family's scheduled time. Our custodial staff will be working their day shift hours, so kind of like we do when we have Christmas break, et cetera, but coming in and beginning that process of making sure our buildings are as disinfected and spick and span clean as they possibly can be. These are just some questions that we've put together today. I ask that you understand that this has been fluid all week. This message did not come down until 4:30 on, well, just last night, so I'm not even sure I've been home trying to figure out where we're going. So it's just one of those things. And then when we receive letters from Illinois State Board of Education, it talks about things in the positive tense, you know. We are reviewing all the possible impacts. We will be continuing to communicate with you. So some of your questions I may know the answers to, others I may not, but I'm happy to listen to them, jot them down, and make sure that we're thinking ahead.
One question I had, and Tiffany, you'd probably be a good person to answer this. It's one thing for us to close school, which I think is appropriate. I think the right thing has been done here, but I know you've met with the community people, like the Boys and Girls Club, the Y, the mall, Urban League. Do you guys have contingency plans about how you're going to handle the influx of kids? Because we know the kids are not going to shelter at home.
Well, so the problem is for us, we serve 1,359 kids a day, and there's no equitable or fair way for us to pick and choose the 90 that we'll keep in the building, because I mean, our building can only hold so much as well.
Right.
So at this point in time, what we're focusing on as Boys and Girls Club, because of the size of our facility, is working alongside the food bank and the ISB nutrition program to at least serve as a feeding site for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We only serve dinner there right now, but in a to-go status, so that we're not having people congregate and eating, because I mean, parents need to work, and that, you know, is very close and sensitive for us. But again, how do you pick
Right.
who you're going to serve
Right.
in an equitable way? So we have made the decision that we're going to close to students as far as housing them at the club, but we're committed to feeding kids in our area.
And I can tell you, I did forget to mention that, we do have a meal feeding plan in place. It will begin this Tuesday, March 17th, which is the first day that the governor officially closes the school. We will be providing in a to-go sack, much like you described, breakfast and lunch together. They will be packaged together. We will have 4 feeding sites at this time, and once again, things could change. If this doesn't work out or we need more, we're willing to address that. But to start off, we're going to have one at each of our high schools, Lanphier, Southeast High School, and Springfield High School, as well as Franklin Middle School. And we will be setting up like a drive-through to-go program where families can get a meal for each child in their household. It is not set up for parents to get food at this point in time. So we are just, it will, every student that attends Sister 26 can come and get a bag and go at that time through the feeding program. We will be reimbursed. All of our cafeteria staff are ready to go, and they were on it earlier this week, planning and preparing ahead. We did have to complete a waiver, which was done yesterday.
So if parents don't have access to transportation to come to these locations, what are your protocols for that?
Right, well, we do, we tried to go with all 4 regions of the community so that there hopefully would be within walking distance of one of these sites, and it's great to hear that you're another site as well, and we know that there are going to be additional ones pop up. We can, introduce more. If that becomes a concern, we do have some contingency plans that we're going to continue to work on Monday that might be able to deliver some food at times too.
Okay, well, I live on Capitol.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a distance from Lanphier High School. It's an even greater distance from Southeast High School, and there are school children in my sub-district, and I think that they should have access to food.
So we kind of went into emergency action. We're going to start with those 4 sites, and then we can definitely look into
Okay, but I would like for you to look at that sooner. Maybe Washington Middle School would be an access point for the kids who live on the east side who are not close to these high schools, okay?
Yes,
And that's
ma'am.
why Boys and Girls
Like I
Club's
said,
trying
we're
to
in
do our
emergency
part too.
planning.
Yeah, but
to serve
the
that.
food
Thank you.
has to be there.
I will do anything and everything to make it right. No chances of me not trying hard.
I know you've discussed this a little bit. Can you reiterate how we're going to be handling all of our staff in terms of pay while this is going to be going on?
At this point in time, we are not going to change any method of our payment to our employees. This is a crisis. Right now, basically, we sent out an email to all staff yesterday that everybody would be kept financially stable during this time. We had originally just used at the end of our spring break as kind of an end point, but we do not plan on changing the way we're paying any of our staff at this time.
Thank you.
With regards to spring break, is that still scheduled, or are we going to make any changes with regards to that?
Well, it is at this time. It's hard right now. We're requiring a lot of our staff to be present during this time, and that doesn't really make up for the time that they had scheduled. And right now, it's on the books, and we kind of want to wait and see how this all pans out here over the next couple of weeks.
Thank you.
So in regards to the emergency days, make up at the end of the school year,
Yes.
this is a district decision, or is this where it come from the government, where it come from?
We have to have 5 emergency days on our calendar. We have to use those 5 emergency days before we can go into active God days. We've already used 2 for we had snow days, 2 snow days, so we have 3 left, so we're required to use all of our emergency days before we go into active God days.
And that
Before
was
we
brought
go
down
into them?
That was done by ISB, correct?
Yes, it was
Yeah.
told by ISB that we have to use our emergency days before we go into active God days, which we have 3 more left on the calendar. They've been published, and everyone knows about those ahead of time.
So the school calendar is going to be extended by at least 5 days, is that correct?
3 additional days, because we've already utilized 2 this year.
Okay.
And those have already been extended.
Okay, let's go back to the cleaning of the buildings. When you and I had a discussion about how they were being cleaned up until this point, you said they were still on the every other day schedule, which,
That's
so,
not altogether true. We went, 2 weeks ago, we went to every night spraying every single surface in every single classroom and getting every single trash can when this virus started to come into play. We don't have custodian power to do every night deep cleaning in every room, but now everybody's going to be all hands on task, so we're going to be cleaning those buildings deeply. But we did alter that and bring extra people in.
Yeah, we were doing the disinfectant to all the hard surfaces, like the superintendent said, that we started that. Which helps with general flu and colds too. So that's the schedule we're on now. But we do every other night cleaning in terms of the rotation due to staffing that.
okay, but if you're going to summertime hours or whatever, what is it that your plan? What's your plan?
The night crew will come into the days and work, and we'll clean these buildings top to bottom.
So that's more than spraying, right? That's
Correct.
washing down.
Yes, that's
We're gonna touch
much more.
surfaces, we're gonna scrub surfaces, and once when everything's clean, we'll go through and disinfect again.
So if that takes,
That'll take 3 or 4 or 5 days.
okay, and then what happens to that staff? Do they go back to their,
Well, with its active God days, then they'll be off, and we'll be doing billing checks for that next week. And then if we come back to school, we'll go back to our regular scheduled program.
okay, so if this gets extended, will they come back again before we go back to school?
Yeah,
Yeah.
touch up, yeah, we can go do it, yes, we could certainly do that. Because if they sit for 3 or 4 weeks, they're gonna need to be dusted.
And
Because,
swept and cleaned. Yeah.
just because we're still running heat, we're still running ventilation, so, we're still getting, there's naturally dust in the air, so we'll still come through, and we'll have to do a touch-up before we come back in, and we certainly disinfect them again.
Okay, and I have another question. Teachers will be available on the 23rd online, you said?
Yeah, via email, online, they'll they'll be in the schools. Principals can get a hold of them by phone. Anything that any family has any concerns or questions about, they'll be available to answer. We have Classroom Dojo and many other platforms that teachers utilize to communicate to families. They've been actively setting those up, making sure every family has access to them so that they can communicate with their families.
Okay, so to me, it would be a concern that we know that all PE teachers can't do that. I mean, or some teachers may not be able to, or some will.
Yeah, we actually worked all week with the PE and art department to put activities online and going through that. And I was, mentioned the social worker and psychologist, if anybody has any questions or they're feeling any stress around these situations, they'll also be available.
Okay.
Speaking to the stress, you had mentioned when we had our meeting last week about the member assistance program.
Yes, we have our, EAP program, our employee assistant program through our Memorial Choice. That's a great opportunity. If any staff member who has our insurance, plan with Memorial wants to call, any employee can call and get a consult. And then if you're a part of Memorial Choice, you get 3 free after that. And it really works out well for people to be able to reach out and get some assistance around this.
And that's for their families as well, too, correct?
It is around for their families. And really, that's for all employees. And if you're a part of Memorial Choice, you might have a few additional perks, but all employees get guidance and free the first 3 visits.
So, notification for families, did it go out by robocall or?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
And email.
Yep, email, robocall. It's on Facebook, it's on Twitter. We're continuing to update as we go and resend out questions and answer to questions that are coming up through Facebook and our Twitter accounts.
Okay, and you have a spot on your front page of your
We do.
internet?
We do.
Okay.
I know that the, state and federal authorities are updating on a daily basis. What do you see going forward? They're doing live press conferences and stuff like that. Obviously, we're charged with the responsibility of 14,000 students. So, do you see us, I know that Facebook and that, but a lot of times the impact, live is sometimes better. What do you see as, schedule? For yourself or Bree or maybe, making... Well,
the good thing is we have a board meeting Monday night, so we'll be able to do a press
See you soon.
conference that night as well. So we will update Monday night for sure. After that, I'm willing and ready to be available. I seem to have a lot of free time now. So we'll be just, completely focused on this as we have been all week with planning and preparation. And we will continue to do that work. My cabinet will be fully available during this time, and we'll be monitoring every angle of this, trying to solve every problem as it goes. As you know, we just can't predict what will happen. We know that this is taking us through the 30th, and we know that we have that timeline. We can't predict what will happen between now and that time. To make anything different occur. But I also know that State Board of Education is very fluid in their work around this too and their assistance. One thing I have to say that I've seen that is pretty amazing, when you see our online platform that we're going to push out on Monday morning, you'll see all of the different online resources that usually charge a nice little hefty fee opening up for free for the next 2 months and giving us greater and broader access to more and more students and companies that we don't originally have purchased that are going to give us some online access. So we're excited about that. We always, of course, want people to use those sites that we know are monitored and have all the right student, safety involved, but we're willing and ready to help any family if they want help in getting set up on that.
Well, and I appreciate that. I just think that, during this kind of situation, crisis, if you will, communication is key.
Communication's key, but you have to make sure you have your communication set, ready to go, and you have the latest and greatest information. That is what's been such a challenge this week, is the ongoing and new information that was literally coming out hourly that might have contradicted the information the hour before. So we feel that this move has helped us kind of be at a stable state, and now we'll move forward with how we work during this closure time. So I do thank Carmen Ayala at State Board of Education, the work of the governor's staff, and making sure that they looked at all angles of the situation and helped us make a decision. I've also been working alongside city officials and county officials throughout this time, and first responders in our community to give us some information and some insight.
Thank you.
All right.
Any other questions? Superintendent?
I don't have a question. I just have a
Shout out to
comment.
everybody, maybe.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I had the opportunity to be in here on Thursday when this room was filled with staff and support from the bargaining units and everything else. I work with about 30 different school districts around the state for my real job, and we are ahead of the curve, as you mentioned. And I want to thank all of our employees for working for that. We were ready to go when this happened, and a lot of school districts are not in that place. And that comes from pre-planning. I'm very excited to see the online ability that we're going to have starting Monday. That's going to help out our parents and students a lot. So I just want to thank all of our staff, teachers, administrators for getting us to a point where we're not running around trying to figure things out now.
Agreed.
Anybody else? I'd like to thank everyone for coming. If we do have a school board meeting on Monday, if there are any updates, anything additional that we need to get out to the public, we will do so at the time. Yes, Meg?
I just wanted to mention also, school supplies and books are one thing, but to make sure that if you have children's medications or medical equipment, that will also be available on Monday in the schools.
Thank you.
Staff will be available.
Great, thank you.
And are there any questions from the audience before we adjourn? We need to have communication. We're communicating.
We have questions from the audience? Go ahead.
Good morning, I'm Meg Contio, and I'm a secretary at Springfield High. Being on the front line and getting the phone calls first from parents, what am I to say when the parent calls me and says, I don't have a computer, you don't have internet access, so forth and so on? I've already fielded many of those calls, and I want to be sure I'm saying the right thing and a positive thing to our parents.
Once again, all of the activities that we're putting forth, you can go online, but we're also going to have activities that do not have to be online, and we are willing and prepared to copy those and get those prepared for families. And we were working through some procedures where we would have those either available here, or since administrators will be on site, they will be able to pass them out at the school sites as well. And we could even do some delivery if we need to help out families. So it'll be a case-by-case basis, and I would say just work through your administrator, and your administrator has been communicated with ad nauseum about how we're working on this. Our teachers on Monday are going to be thinking through those issues. You know, they've got time all day now to work on putting those activities online, copying some activities, getting those prepared, and we will make sure that we have access for all students. We're also working around Lincoln Land Community College for any student who is involved in dual credit class at this time. They are off for next week, but when they come back, they are going to work through their dual credit teachers to make sure those students don't lose those hours that are so important to their transcripts.
Thank you, Mrs. Gill. Just to back that up, I know we have computer cards and many computers, laptops at our schools. Would that be something that we would be able to?
We have been exploring any and all possibilities if this were to extend beyond this amount of time. At this time, there's a lot of things that have to go into place with students having insurance and sign-off sheets, so we're going to need some time to make sure we work through all of the issues. And with this short closure, we think we can do it this other way, and then if it were to be elongated, we can definitely explore that.
Thank you, I appreciate that, thank you.
Another question?
Yes, Mary Tennant, music teacher at Harvard Park and Douglas Alternative, and SBA second vice president. My concern is for our ESPs who have second and third jobs. Will they be okay to work during the day after these emergency days? Can they get scheduled with their other jobs? Some of them have second and third jobs.
Yes, ma'am. I think that's just something we're going to have to talk about individually. We sent out an email to all staff saying that if you had any individual employment concerns, Mrs. Sherman's available at all times to talk through them. With that, we wanted to make sure that, again, we want to make sure we have the best interests of all employee groups in mind. We're maintaining our salary and benefits. As for worrying about their second and third jobs, I'm not sure about those. There's nothing that I'm going to do to prevent them from having those or continuing to have those.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, again, thanks everyone for coming, and we'll be back here Monday.
We actually talked about Washington yesterday.